today we'll be focusing on IO, conditionals and loops, right? Though we actually already covered the IO last week, so input and output in Python. So by the way, well done on week 1 project. I saw your creativity, and then your honesty in the submission of the project is commendable. So you stated that you used AI help along the line, so it's actually not wrong. So because every programmer will get stuck at one point or the other, so it is not wrong. So the AI tools are there to help, right? It's just that do not rely on them 100%, right? You just seek help, right? Not that you just ask it to write everything for you, do everything for you, and so you just seek their help on aspects. You could imagine that last class, last physical class, that was Monday, we were encountering an issue on a particular code. So no, I was just noticing that what's wrong with these lines of code, what's going on. You wouldn't believe that it was just the word print that I forgot to put in one of the lines of code, and then that was what affected the code. So until I debugged with ChatGPT, I was not able to locate error. That won't throw an error because it was not the code was actually correct. It was syntax, the syntax was correct. It's just the print that was missing there. So at the end of this lesson, you'll be able to read input from the user. You'll be able to read input from the user and print the formatted output. You'll be able to use the if, and leave, and else to make decisions. Let me just maximize this. You'll be able to use if, leave, and else to make decisions. You'll be able to write for and while loops and control them with break and continue. You'll be able to handle basic runtime errors using try except, or you'll be able to combine the above to build small interactive programs like a number guessing game, a simple calculator, and so on. Now input output, of course we've done this last week. So input is to collect our data from user. So input is to collect data from user, and this is how we use it. Input, and then you put the prompt in the brackets here. Then the print outputs to the screen, and then we use f strings for neat formatting, like you used in your project, in your one project. So these f strings are used for neat formatting. If you don't want to use too much of this plus for concatenation, you can easily insert a value inside your strings here. So what are conditionals? Conditional statements in Python, they control shading errors. So conditional statements in Python control the flow of execution in a program based on whether certain conditions are true or false, right? They allow a program to make decisions and perform different actions depending on the input or states, of the program. So we have different statements. We have different conditional statements in Python. We have the if statement. Now the if statement executes a block of code only if a specified condition evaluates to true, right? Okay, and this is how you write it. You say if, then you put your statements. So the if statement executes a block of code only if a specified condition evaluates to true. So you have it here. If condition, then code to be executed if it is true. So we're going to do that right now. So today I'll be using an online IDE. Okay, so I'll be using an online IDE. So just like online Python compiler. There is no a compiler, it's an interpreter, right? So program is. So this is the one I love the most. I love to use it the most. It's very simple to use. Let me clear up everything here. So we want to use our if statement, right? So remember that if executes a block of code if the specified condition is true. Right, so I'm going to say number equals, no, not equals. I'm going to assign the variable 5 to number. I'm writing for 5. So now I'm going to check if number, this is why I prefer VS Code. It would have just suggested for me. This isn't bad either. Actually, I have an issue with my VS Code, so I have to reinstall it. So once I am done with this reinstallation, I'll be back with it. That's why I'm using this online IDE for the moment. Oh, all right. Okay. So if number is greater than 0, right? So this is our if, then the condition, right? This is our condition that if this number is greater than 0, meaning that if this evaluates to true, right? Now let me quickly check something now. If you say number greater than 0, are you following? Let's print it. Print number greater than 0. Let's see what this evaluates to. Print number greater than 0. You see, true. So if that is true, then it will go ahead and execute our if block. So if number greater than 0, print print f. This is our print f. Number is greater than 0. Okay, we run it. So it says 5 is greater than 0. So that's what if does. If we check whether the statement you have given it is true, if it evaluates to true, then it will go ahead and run this line of code after it. So that's what if does. Now elif is just short for else if. Now the elif, now this if, now if this is not true, this is not going to be evaluated. Like let's say this is now if number greater than 6, print number is greater than 6, this should evaluate to false, so it shouldn't print the number. Yeah, code execution successful. It does not do anything. Just so what happened is that it's checked is the number greater than 6, but because it's not greater than 6, it's not true. It does not execute this. So we can now add an else statement. An else statement actually does, okay, what if this is not true? Then go ahead and do this. That's what else does. So we say print f here. Okay, I'll put number is not greater than 6. says 5 is not greater than 6. That's the else of that part. That's the else of it. Now, what elif does is that if you want to add another, you can use multiple condition, right? This elif allows us to use multiple condition. So if is false, then it can go ahead to execute elif. So in this case also we could have used elif number is not greater than 6. Elif number is not greater than 6. Print number is not greater than 6. Oops. Let's just say elif okay. I guess that only works with equals to sign. So let's say elif number less than 6, then print number is less than 6. Okay, number is less than 6. So 5 is less than 6. So that's elif can be used to add another condition. So if you want to use if elif, you can use if elif and else together. If elif and else together. And we're going to work on that in a moment. Okay. So if elif and else combined. So this if condition 1 is true, execute this code. Elif condition 2. Now if condition 1 is not true, go to this condition 2. Elif condition 2, so it will run this if 1 is false and condition 2 is true. But if all of them are false, then it go ahead and does this else. Else means if all the options above are false. Okay. We're going to do a little practice here. We're going to do a little practice. Let's do something like a temperature checker. Okay. Not really temperature checker. It's just to check whether your temperature is okay or not. Right. So you can say temp equals int input, because I'm going to perform my mathematical calculations on this. That's why I'm changing it to an integer. So int input, enter your temperature. Enter your temperature. Okay. So here I'm going to put this colon and then the space. Enter your temperature. Now you can use this dot strip. This dot strip helps to remove any other it helps to remove space from whatever your user entered. It helps to remove space, right? But since you have already converted this to an integer, this might not really be necessary. So then you can now say if temp if your temperature is let's say 37 is the normal temperature. If your temperature is greater than 37, you can say print you have a high say, okay, what if the temperature is not greater than 37? We can say a leave temperature, no, temp. We have to call the name we used to save the temperature variable. A leave temp is equal to 37. You can now say, you should say print print you are okay. Now we can now put an else. Else will now be, if the temperature is not high, if it's not equal to 37, then it must be low. Else print temperature is low. So if we run this code here, oh, that was a mistake. That's why I prefer coding in VS Code. Now this should have been closed. Oh, I did not close it because it was not well highlighted. So, okay. So let's enter your temperature. If I enter 37, it says you are okay, right? If I rerun it, if I enter 32, your temperature is low. If I run it and enter what now? If I enter 45, you have a high temperature, please consult the doctor. So that does it like that. So let's do another one here. Let's do another one. Let's check whether a number is equal to 1 or not. I've done something similar than that. Let's just do this teenage let's just do something like this. A code that checks whether you're a teenager or not. Right? Age equals int inputs. Enter. You know what? Let me do my coding in VS Code and just paste it here. Right? Let me do that. The age equals int, what's this? Got an issue with this. What's going on? Age equals int inputs. Okay, I'm going to ask the user, enter your age. Enter your age. Okay. So I'm not going to evaluate age. Okay. Now we want to evaluate if age is less than 20. Right? All I want to do is all called nested conditionals. Nested. So if age is less than 20, You now go ahead and check, go ahead and execute what is under here. Again, if age, since teenagers are less than 20 years old, so we want to check again. If age is greater than 12, print else print you are not a teenager. So here we first check whether the person's age is less than 20. So if it's less than 20, then it will go ahead and evaluate this and print you are a teenager if it is greater than 12 again. So else it will say, just let's say you are a child. You are a child. Okay. Else print you are an adult. Okay. So let me paste it here and run it. Enter it. You enter 11 years old or less than 12. Say you are a child. If I run it and I say 20 years old. Oh, you're a child. Then we have to check. No, this is 0. This is 0. Let me enter 20. You are an adult. So let me enter something like 17. You are a teenager. Okay. All right. So let's go on and let's go on this course today. Loops. Now loops in Python are control flow statements that allow a block of code to be executed repeatedly. They are essential for automating repetitive tasks and iterating over collections of data. And in Python we have two types of loop. We have two types of loop in Python. Okay. Oh, Zipporah, can you hear now? Sorry, I've not been on this screen. Oh, she's no longer here. Perhaps it's a network issue. But damn, Larry, can you hear me? Damn, Larry, can you hear me? Oh, somehow. Let's continue. Right. So loops in Python are control flow statements that allow a block of code to be executed repeatedly. So loops allow repetitions, right? Allow repetitions. And then in Python we have two types of loops. We have the for loop and we have the while loop. So we're going to discuss the for loop first. So the for loop, okay. The for loop in Python is used for iterating over a sequence, such as a list, a tuple, or a string, or a dictionary. So it iterates over it. It means it will select each of the items there and print it out and do whatever you want with whatever you want to do with it. And do whatever you want to do with it. Okay. Let me come back to my VS Code here. Remember that string itself is a sequence of characters, right? String itself is a sequence of characters. So for instance, if I say my string equals Python, now this is a string, so I can use for loop to iterate over this. How do I do that? I just say for. Now I'm going to use a variable to pick each of these items in this Python, each of this character in this Python. So I can say for I, the I, you can use anything. You can say for X, whatever. So I'm going to use for I in my string, meaning that for I in this Python, I can say print I. So if you run this, so you have Python, so it prints every item in it. It prints every item in it. So you can use it for a list also, right? Though we're going to be covering list in our next class in details. So list, if you have a list of numbers, okay, so for I in my, let's call this my list instead, not my string. My list. My list. If you run that, you are going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So let's say we have a list of pets. Pets equals, okay, we have dog, which of them are strings, right? We have goats, we have cats. So you separate items in a list with comma, right? So Python knows this is the first one, this is the first one, this is the first one, this is the second one, third one. We can say for pets in pets, meaning for each of these in this list, print and say print, okay, pet is a domestic animal. So you have it there. Dog is a domestic animal, goat is a domestic animal, cat is a domestic animal. So that's what for loop does. It takes each item in the sequence and iterates over it. It iterates over each item in the sequence. That's what for loop does. Where's this class? Let me see. Oh, okay. I hope everyone can hear. Zipporah, can you hear now? Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So that's what we that's how for loop works. That's how for loop works. So we can use for loops for range also. You can say, let's come to VS Code. You can say for I, or you can say for none in range 1, 10. Print none. So what this does is that now this range is just a function for to get the range of numbers, the range of maybe integers or floats between a range of numbers within a particular range rather. So that's what this range does. So you can print each number in this. Now if it's printing this, it's going to print 1 to 9. It's going to stop just before it gets to this 10, right? If you print it, so it's going to print it 1 to 9 like that. It's going to print it 1 to 9 like that. That's what it's going to do. Right. So let's explore the other kind of loop we have. Okay. While loops. Now a while loop actually it repeatedly executes a block of code as long as the specified condition remains true. As long as the specified condition remains true. So it is particularly useful when the number of iterations is not known in advance and depends on the dynamic condition. Now, for loop we actually iterate over a set of sequence, right? Over a sequence. But while loop we execute as long as the particular condition remains true. Okay. So let's try that. Now, you can say num equals 0. Or num equals 3. I now say while num is less than 3, right? Print none. Print none. So while number is less than 3, you print none. Let's see what this is going to do. Okay. Oh, right. So we said number is equal to 3. While number is less than 3, it does not do anything because the number is not less than 3 actually. So let's give it 0 here. Let's run it. Now what loops do is that they it begins to print. It continues to execute until maybe the computer runs out of memory. So to stop that, you can just put a break here. You can break. If you break, you just print 0, right? You just print 0. You just print 0. Now let's say I want to count from 1 to 10. Now I can say num equals 0. Now why num is less than 11, num plus equals 1. Now this is what we call add and assign, right? Meaning that we will add 1 to this value and we assign it to num. So what we are doing is that this one will be added to this num variable and then it will be assigned as the new value. So the first iteration, this will be 0. Then the next iteration, it will add 1, right? Good. So then it will print num, and then so as long as the num is less than 11, it will continue to print num. Then you can break here. You can break here. So let's go for this one. Exactly. So initially our num was 0, right? So our num was 0 initially. So you enter while number is less than 11. So every time the code we check, is this variable still less than 11? So as long as it is less than 11, it will print it. Then it will add 1 and assign it to this variable, and it will check again and again until it is less than 11. So until the number reaches 11. So when it reaches 11, this condition is false now. So the code terminates. It terminates automatically. So if you run it, it counts from 0 to 10. So I want us to work on a simple project, a login form, right? Login form. So we're going to say user equals user equals admin. Then we're going to say password pwd equals 1 2 3 4. Okay, 1 2 3 4. So now we're going to start a while loop. Now we have a variable, let's call it tries equals to let's give it 0 for now. So while thrice is less than 3, while thrice is less than 3, who has the user to enter their username and password. So username equals input, enter your username, password equals what we have here is a number, so let's just turn to a string. So that's okay. So input, our password equals input, enter your password. Now if user, that's username, if user equals username and pwd equals password, we're going to print you have logged in successfully, and after that we are going to break, right? But if that is not correct, then we say thrice plus equals 1. What does that mean? It means, we want the person to try like up to about 3 times. So what we begin to do is that if the username and password are not correct, then we'll ask the user to try again, but then we increase the try by 1. So because once it reaches there, we are going to stop, right? Now else we are going to say print invalid login details. This is an error. Okay. Invalid login details. Okay. So we add 1 to the number of tries. Now when the try is not just invalid login details, we are going to also print you have, let me use an F string here, you have 3 minus tries left. If the person has tried 1, the person will have 2 left. If he has tried 2, we have 1 left, and so on like that. Okay. Now, while the tries is still less than 3, the user can enter, but if he successfully enters, then it will break. But if it does not successfully do that, then Python will continue to execute this invalid login details tries equals to 1. Now if the tries are now up to this, we can just print here no more attempts allowed. Okay, let's see if our code will run successfully. Remember, the username is admin, the password is 1234. Okay, enter enter username. Let me enter a random stuff. Invalid login details. Okay, you have 3. Oh. You have 2 trials left. Okay, left. Yeah. Okay, you have these trials left. And then this trial, let's put 4 here. Right? Let's put 4 here. So that should do it. So let's rerun it. Okay. Let me enter a wrong username, a wrong password. It says 3 trials rather. 3 trials left. You have 4. Okay. You have 4 minus trials. Let me run this. Okay. Username, password. Is not what I'm expecting. Let's quickly go through this. So the tries is currently 0. So if okay, the tries is currently 0 here. So the first attempt it is 0. So 4 minus 0. That's what you say. You have 4 trials left. Whereas I want you to say you have 2 trials left. 2 trials left to be, how do we evaluate that? Okay, let's use this. Let's use 2. Let's replace this with 2. So if we replace this with 2 and run it now, you have 2 trials left. You have 1 trial left. Invalid login details. You have 0. Oh, it is not supposed to do this actually. When it is 0 trials left. Okay, no more attempts left. Okay. Alright. So based on the code that we are trying to run, so do you have any suggestion? Let me bring it here. So this is the output we are currently getting. You have 2 trials left here, you have 1 trials left here, 0 trials left here. We want you to just say you have 2 trials, you have 1 trial there, you have 0 trial. So we'll give a suggestion. We just have to tries equals to 1. You mean we assign 1 as, oh yes. You mean we assign 1 as the value, as the initial value here. That's very correct. So by that it will evaluate like this, and then this should be 3. So that will be, the first one is 3 minus 1. So that will be 2 trials left, and then so thanks for the suggestion. So if we run it now, okay, username, password, you have 2 trials left, you have 1 trial left. Oh, invalid login details, you have 1 trial left, no more attempts allowed. Now let's take a deep look into this. Now the first time it will run, that's the first trial, then the second is the second trial. Oh, there should be a third. So why trials less than 4? Why tries less than 4? That's what we're supposed to use. So if we rerun this, so invalid login details, you have 2 trials left, no more attempts allowed. Oh really? It's not, is it the my ID? What's causing that? Let me maximize it. Can you unmute and answer if you can see it now?
Yes.
Can you see it now? Please unmute and answer if you can see it now.
Yes.
You can see it now?
Yes.
Okay, alright. Okay, so this our tries is 1, and this is less than 4 here, and this is 3 minus the tries. Okay, so as you run it, enter username, password. You have 2 trials left. You have 1 trial left. While limited, you have 0 trials, no more attempts allowed. So it is not going to allow anyone to log in more than 3 times. To try to log in more than 3 times. Let's now run the correct way, right? If the person's details are correct, the username is admin, password is 1234. It says you have logged in successfully. But now we don't want this no more attempts allowed to show. We want this no more attempts allowed to show. So we can just try to say if tries equals 3, print no more attempts allowed. Print no more attempts allowed. So admin 1 2 3 4, we have logged in successfully. So let's rerun it and use the wrong details. Let's use less than or equal to 4. No, not less than or equal to 4. So let's rerun this. Okay, so that is the code like that. That's what does it. So this does it for our code. So what's your take on the? Yeah, that's just what I did. If condition. So what's your take on the little project we just carried out? What's your take on it? You can express what's your mind on it. Hello, damn Larry. Making it easier, yes. The condition, so you use conditionals can be used with loops to simplify things. Conditionals can be used with loops to simplify things. Okay. Let's see. Now, the last aspect of today is exception handling, right? Exception handling. So now in Python, try and except blocks are used for exception handling, which is a mechanism for gracefully managing errors that occur during program execution, right? So this is how it works. let's say you are trying to divide two numbers now, right? And use this is the input for the first number, this is the input for the second number. Now remember, if you want to divide and you want to use string, you know it won't work, right? So that will throw an error and it will terminate the code. So in order to prevent that, you can use these try except blocks to prevent these kinds of error. You can use that. So let's go and try that. So let's have num1. Num1 equals, as I said, it's a good practice to do like this. This is how I used to write my code. Num1 equals int inputs. Enter a number to be divided. Num2 equals enter the divisor. Then cal is equals to, maybe calculate equals to num1 over num2. Print, this is f, num1 over num2. Num1 num1 divided by num2 equals calc. Okay. So if we are to paste this here now and run this, we enter 6. Oh, there's a mistake here, right? So I've not used the inputs. Close it here. Okay, let's rerun it. Okay, so you have 6 here and you have 2. It says 6 divided by 2 equals 3. Okay. Now, what if someone that does not know about this code, what if the person just enters this? There will be it will raise an error and then to terminate. So to prevent that, we can just say try this, right? Okay, try. Then we put the exception, except Let me take this back to VS Code. Try. Okay. Try this. Okay. Try. Except value error. So this value error checks whether it is integer or string or whatever that is entered, except value error. So you're going to print invalid inputs. Please enter numbers only. So if you run this, if I enter this, I'm going to say invalid inputs. Please enter numbers only. So instead of just throwing errors, to tell me invalid input, please enter numbers only. Okay. So that is the use of try and except. So you can use another except block. You can put another except block and say except again. I'll come back to my just code. You can say except again, except 0 division error, and say print cannot divide by 0. Okay, so this works if the person tries to enter a divisor of 0, right? Okay, so if I run this, I enter 2, and I enter 0, it says cannot divide by 0. So instead of just throwing error, cannot divide by 0. So that is what our try except block does for us. That's what it does for us. It helps us to avoid the terminal throwing errors, right? It helps us to avoid terminal throwing errors. So I think we are that's the end of the class today. We've come to the end of the class today. So is there any question? Okay, no question, right? Okay, all right. So keep practicing to use these conditionals and loops. Keep practicing it. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. So I wish all the other squad leaders are here. I would like to address them generally. So the grading has started, and then the leaderboard will be published tomorrow morning. So by tomorrow morning we'll publish the leaderboard. Thank you for